Hi everyone! I'm actually on my way into the Kelso train depot, which is now a historic site, but it was one of the first railroad depots that played an important role in the development of the West and also the railroad industry. It was a perfect place to build a railroad depot in a railroad town because even though it's the desert and it's desolate, the people that lived there could get water from the Providence Mountains, and it was actually a really good place to stop on the way out to Los Angeles from Salt Lake City. So let's head on into town and learn a little bit more about the history of the railroad and how the Kelso Depot played a vital role in the development of the West. And stay tuned until the end of this video so that I can tell you how you can win a year pass to the national parks. I'm giving away a year-round pass to the national parks, which is an $80 value, and I hope you watch until the end so that you can figure out how you can win that pass. Now behind me is the Kelso jail, which wasn't for long-term use. It was actually just like a drunk tank. Pretty interesting, pretty small. Imagine during the summertime when it rains or during monsoon season. That would really sober you up. So, pretty interesting. Behind me is the railroad tracks. They had a pretty nice view from the jail, probably wishing that they were outside or working hard and making money. The date palm trees behind me are actually still here from the original landscape that was put in 1924. The way this railroad depot was actually named is 3 men put their name into a hat. And the name that was pulled was John Kelso. He actually wasn't even around when the names were drawn, so he got lucky that the people were honest, and they named this railroad depot after him. To prevent vandalism and obviously to prevent accidents from happening and to assume liability, the owners of the Kelso Depot actually wanted this to be demolished in 1985 when it was closed down, but the residents of Kelso and the people who love history actually raised money to have the building preserved. So BLM took over, and since they owned much of the land around the building, they gained ownership. Finally, in 1992, BLM actually was able to receive the title of the building, and the California Desert Protection Act of 1994 helped establish the Mojave National Preserve, and the MPS actually took over, and the MPS is actually still in charge today. The renovations that make the building look newer today began in 2002, and the grand opening of the building, which is now a visitor center, opened in 2005. The Kelso Depot actually opened in 1905. It had a post office, a firehouse, and an eating house. It was fully functioning, and it just continued to grow from there. Over time, Kelso began to grow, and they needed employees, so they created housing. This is actually the back side of the post office, which still stands today. And So Kelso was actually a pretty solid, booming town at one point in time. In 1900, actually, Kelso began because a Utah senator by the name of William Clark, who was also a very wealthy mine owner, actually purchased the railway in Los Angeles. So Kelso was created as a stopping point for the railroad because actually William Clark started San Pedro, California. So this was one of the stopping points in his railroad, and imagine San Pedro is what it is today. It's the shipping hub for the West Coast, one of the shipping hubs. So it's just so interesting about how Kelso ties into that and how important it is to the growth of Western United States. Eventually, William Clark actually got what he wanted from the railroad, which was to help with construction. So once everything was moved over, the Union Pacific Railroad actually made a deal with William Clark, and at first they bought half, and eventually they owned all of it. The Kelso Depot was actually modeled after Harvey House style railroad depots. If you've ever been to the one in Barstow, California, which is also a historic railroad depot, you know that that is a Harvey House. And so this actually does look similar to the railroad that is in Barstow, California. In 1962, in 1962, diesel engines actually replaced steam, and that's what the Union Pacific Railroad was. The Union Pacific Railroad was using steam engines, and that's what stopped here in Kelso. So eventually they built tracks around Kelso, and they used diesel, which is obviously more efficient. So that actually created a decline in the people that stopped here in Kelso. Luckily, for a little while longer, there's some mines in the area, and so the people that worked in the mines actually lived here near Kelso. They used the facilities, the restaurant, the clubhouse, and all that stuff. But eventually the mine closed, and that was the result of the end of the Kelso train depot. So imagine, businesses booming. At one point, this place had a population of 2,000. So just progression in time creates digression in certain things, and it's important to keep up with the times. But it is so neat that BLM and the Desert National Wildlife Refuge and the national parks and the people who were so dedicated to preserving the history of Kelso all work together so that we can come here and enjoy this place today. The parking lot here is packed. I've never seen the parking lot here packed. I've been here several times before on my way from California to Las Vegas. It's one of my favorite routes. Less traffic, but that's not the case today. So business is booming again, but not in the type of way that it was in the early 1900s. So I hope that you enjoyed this little history lesson. So if you learned anything, or if you've ever been to Kelso, leave a comment below. Hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. We have a lot of fun things happening, and the channel is continuously growing, so that makes me very happy. Have a good day.